Welcome to today's Seidokan Saturday. So, we should have already learned basically these techniques that I'm going to show, but the specific combinations now are going to be a block followed by a kick. That would seem fairly simple and basic, but translating that into jiu-kumite or free sparring is a little tougher, because typically what tends to happen is people will maybe block and then stop. Block, did nothing, as opposed to block an immediate counter. Or they'll tend to just parry dodge and just attack, right? So it's either primarily offensive or primarily defensive, and combining defense and offense is a key. It's less like football, more like basketball, where in football, very rarely does defense really translate to offense. Occasionally on an interception or a fumble, but usually the offense goes, defense stops them, boom, reset, restart, boom, reset, restart. Whereas basketball pretty much is a back and forth nonstop. There are a lot more interceptions or fumbles or turnovers or whatever in the course of a game, missed shot and rebound. So immediately a bad offense turns into a quick, or a bad offense turns the defense quickly around, and so forth. So this is what tends to happen, again, in sparring. Same thing can creep into our self-defense, and so we're trying to overcome that. So while this is something we should have learned and we have practiced, in my dojo we do these combinations well early on, but now we're going to test for them. So the first basic one we're going to start with is uchi-uke, followed by mawashigeri, roundhouse kick. Inside out block, followed by roundhouse kick. And again, you go back to the blocks, uchi-uke in Japan sometimes it's called soto-uke, because I'm blocking to the outside of my body, moving things toward the outside. So that would be soto-ni-uke, or moving to the outside, as opposed to uchi-uke, which is blocking on the inside of my body, or using the inside of my arm as the block. To be more specific, ude, arm, ude, uchi, uke, using the inside of my arm to block. Okay, second thing is, especially as we go to the kumite level with this, is my blocks are not full, formal, double hand chambered blocks. Because again, blocking as a full motion is joint breaking, simultaneous block and strike, throws, and so forth. So again, go back to the earlier videos on blocking. By now also, the kicking technique, the keru waza, should be good enough that we can put it in combination without losing too much form and balance. Although always when we combine and move up speed, there's a little bit of sacrifice of control for power and vice versa. Much like a baseball pitcher may throw very hard, his fastest throw may be 115 miles an hour, but getting it over that plate in that strike zone every time requires maybe taking it down from 115 to 110, or 90 from 100 to 95, or whatever level baseball player you are. So, and same in tennis. I can whack the ball really hard, but whacking it hard and getting it accurate requires a little bit of, a small percentage drop in the power to get our accuracy. I could drop my percentage of power way down and super increase my accuracy, get it over the plate or over the net into the court, or whatever sport analogy you want to use. But there's always that balance between power and accuracy. At this point in karate, going for 6Q, our green belt, we should be able to have enough control of our kicks that we can start throwing a little power. Back to the blocking concept. So again, instead of full pulling blocks, now we're working more kumite, where the block is a simple snap, a short snap. When you do this, you find that the actual gerambarai, for instance, is not a kick. To go from here and block a kick is very slow and opens you up to a hand counter. So it's typically going to be here, blocking out against a body punch or something of that nature, or maybe a higher level kick. All right, so all of that, again, go back to kicks, blocks, earlier videos. Our first technique, and we're going to go in the order of the blocks, uchi-uke is first. So the first block-kick combination that I test on and require is uchi-uke, mawashigeri. Uchi-uke, mawashigeri. Now you notice I'm blocking in this direction and then following with the kick, moving in the same direction as the block. We could block this direction and kick from the other side, but that changes the flow dynamic and the balance a little bit. But you'll see where both become important. So at first, we practice it from a stationary position, either heikodachi, the yoi shoulder width stance, or a little wider, more kibadachi, maybe even shikodachi to the front. And we practice from this position. Block, roundhouse kick, back to our horse. Block, roundhouse kick, back to our horse. Or, instead of the following direction, blocking and kicking the same way, we'll block and then kick on the same side. So I move his attack this way and then come in with the kick. Same thing here, block and kick. So we work that first stationary. This, working it from a stationary position really helps cement things like balance, helps really feel directional flow. By directional flow, I mean exactly what I just showed, moving the hand this way and then the kick the other way, or moving the hand this way and then following the same direction with the kick. Next, we put that into motion, and this is where we'll use the standard cross the floor drill kind of dojo work. A lot of people don't like that, but I find that doing that as a foundation really helps cement, again, the movement technique. So we start with, I was in kuchitachi gambarai, front stance, low block. Hey, hit our kamae here. Now, we are going to use, sometimes, the guard, even though we're informal, as opposed to the double hikite, because we're not going to block from this position. So from here, a couple of ways we can do this. The first one we're going to do is shift. Again, using our locked, classic, not the free-form, fighting version of the stances, even though they're essentially the same thing. Shift into the block. From here, if I'm moving forward, I'll take my back leg, so I've blocked in this direction. This is the flow direction. Blocked in this direction, roundhouse kick, step forward with my guard. Shift into the block, roundhouse, step forward into the guard. That's the first way we'll work it, okay? A secondary way to practice the same thing is in place again, but using the classic stances. So from here, I'll block, and I have a choice now. Here, I can go into my short mawashigeri, and go back again, review the two versions. Block, short mawashigeri, and forward, reset, and then the opposite side. Block, short mawashigeri, using the ball of the foot, and reset. Or, block, and again, here I am using the full blocks now as somebody's attacking, I'm randomly just standing here, I'm going, I don't want to fight, please, no, I will defend myself, say all those things. Then he attacks, boom, stepping forward, long roundhouse. So I have two options. I'll do both with the left block, again, neutral, attacker, block, short roundhouse, or same block, long, coming forward. So we have both of those options. Now, here's where we go green belt. Those should have all been learned, practiced to some extent for months now. Now we take the classic step, lock, boom, and we put it more in movement for Jiu Kumite. And as I said at the beginning, this is where most people get locked up a little bit and where the transition needs to be reflexive. Reflexive movement goes straight from the spinal cord into the action. It's a reflex. If the doctor taps my knee and I kick, that didn't go all the way to my brain to make a decision to kick. It immediately went to my spinal cord, boom, and the reaction occurred by the nerve that was tapped, the Golgi tendon organ at the knee. The techniques here need to become reflexive. Otherwise, in sparring, you'll do as I said at the start, which is I'll block, somebody attacks, I'll block, somebody attacks, I dodge, or I attack. And combining block and counter is, especially when it comes to kicks, because I'm working from here down to here. When I play the piano, one of the hardest things for me to do is play a bass hand way here while the right hand is way up in that octave, because I can't visually look at it. I have to feel that. I have to geographically already know where all those things are. When they're in here close and I can see both hands together, much easier. Playing out here, high and low, bottom of the keyboard, top, very difficult. Same thing, blocking and then moving to a kick quickly and making that reflexive so that in the course of kumite I can block and immediately come to my counter, as opposed to blocking and having that moment of decision too late. So we put this now into kumite. When I'm in my fighting stance, quick shift to the block, that's that snapping fast block, snap block, kick, right away. That allows me to stay engaged with my opponent. Okay, from the side, same thing. If I'm working here and I'm standing in my stance and he attacks and I do uchike, quick, snap. If I just parry, he can continue his forward attack. The snapping of the block is intended to bang his limb, defang the snake, cut off the weapon he was attacking me with. Defang the snake, boom. But then without pause, boom, immediately come up and throw my counterattack. Boom, immediately come in with my counterattack. So that's the level we want to work at to get to the 6th kyu or the green belt. From kumite, kamae, or a fighting stance, and some fight out of a cat stance, some bounce in a long front stance, some work sideways, hands down, open tournament. Really doesn't matter. The concept is still the same, that I want to go from attacking his attack, striking his attacking limb with my snapping uchuke. And again, if he's especially street, he's throwing this punch and I quick whack it, we can really snap some things in his arm. Or at the very least make him go, ha! And while he's going, ha! And then we kick. So we take our kumite. Now, we already did it from yoi, right? Block, front leg counter, block, rear leg counter. We already did that. Now we want to put it into a sparring type drill. I'm in my fighting stance, block, short kick. Fighting stance, block, long roundhouse. So that's the level we want to go. First, block, kick combination, uchiuke, mawashigeri. Right? Same thing, we can then take this to work on the bag. Imagine the bag, work in the bag, right? Block, kick. Work in the bag, block, kick. And we can practice getting the block as close to the kick in timing as possible and building up reflexive action. The next 3 weeks will be the next 3 blocks, sotuke, hanyuke, yarambarai, and the kicks that I require, if you will. But you could do any block and any kick. I just put them in this order to have a testable, reliable metric to work on the technique. As always, thanks for joining. Hopefully you made it through all of that. Like, share, subscribe, you know the routine. And until next week, as always, keep practicing.